Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is July 24th, 2010, and I am Darko. The title of this article and video is House OK's Possible Israeli Raid on Iran. And I think we're all aware of the ships that were recently deployed, Israeli and U.S. warships towards the Gulf and the Suez Canal towards Iran. You also have another fleet running towards Costa Rica, and Costa Rica would really and be like, well, why would there be, 46 warships and 7,000 Marines headed to Costa Rica? Well, then you realize that there's been Russian bombers and Russian warships and submarines for the first time since World War II floating around South America in that region. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on globally, and Iran always seems to be heating up, and it always seems like the Western establishment, whether it's the Brzezinski group or it's the neocon group, they both seem to always be eyeing Iran, whether it's using intelligence agencies for color revolutions. And that's, pinning people up against each other, COINTELPRO, PSYOPs. I mean, that's big time Brzezinski type tactics. And then you just have the hardcore neocon type faction that just wants to get Israel to bomb Iran, or the U.S. to float ships like they're doing in Korea right now. They just float ships and dangle them in front of their enemy and hope that they'll strike them, kind of like Gulf of Tonkin or something like that, or they'll actually allow themselves to be attacked, right? They won't provide any protection knowing that they will be attacked, and in doing so will be able to justify declaring war on Iran. So those are the two tactics that they go about. But just getting into this article, it says Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives have introduced a measure that would greenlight a possible Israeli bombing campaign against Iran. Resolution 1553 provides explicit support for military strikes against Iran, stating that Congress backs Israel's use of, quote, all means necessary against Iran, quote, including the use of military force, BBC Persian reported. That's not good. That is not good. It says the introduction of the measure coincides with a pattern of renewed calls for military strikes that have escalated since President Barack Obama signed Congressional Iran sanctions into law. That's right. Our Congress signed sanctions against Iran, and the UN signed unilateral sanctions as well. And they've already had sanctions on them as far as buying parts and that, and certain other goods. But now they have an embargo with their fuel importing for their cars and that. They do produce oil, and they do have a lot of oil, but they import all their gasoline. And so they have sanctions on that, and they have sanctions on banking and anything that has to do with their army, their Revolutionary Guard. So it would be similar to the Chinese declaring the Marine Corps a terrorist group, and then saying that any financial transactions that are done as far as paying for the troops, racks, their beds, or supplying their Humvees as terrorist activity. So you're gonna, provide sanctions and not let them get their gear. I mean, it's totally ludicrous and one-sided. But when you're living in America here, you're just bombarded by disinformation and propaganda. There's really no other way to put it, because that's what it is. There's hardly anyone that really talks against, but there's hardly anyone out there that really disagrees with what's going on, except for maybe Webster Tarpley on Russian TV, but that's about it. But here in America, we do have our eyes are cloaked, and a lot of people don't see what the hell's going on. But there is a growing number of people, so when it does happen, we will understand. Hopefully a good amount of people in America will understand that this is not going to be a good thing. It says neoconservatives who were instrumental in orchestrating the Iraq war, such as Bill Kristol and Mark Grech, have led the stepped-up calls for military action. Hawkish former Bush administration official John Bolton recently laid out a game plan to prod Israel into attacking Iran, arguing that outsiders can, quote, create broad support for a strike by framing it as an issue of Israelis' right to self-defense. And see, that's what I'm saying. They play these little kind of games where you got a large U.S. Christian base that will support Israel, and the government uses that as a political tool to build support, political support for Israel and whatever they do, and which means all means necessary. Well, so boarding aid ships like a SEAL team. So that's necessary. Supporters for military strikes, Bolton says, should defend all specific tactic of preemptive attacks against Iran. Let's read this again. Supporters for military strikes, Bolton says, should, quote, defend the specific tactic of preemptive attacks against Iran. Dude, this is the same situation that we were in with Iraq, right? And I just posted an article where you have MI5, whatever, MI5 or MI6, whatever, the British intelligence, a former British intelligence woman coming out and saying that there was absolutely no link between Iraq and 9/11, but these are the same people that were beating the war drums to go into Iraq to take out Saddam because he was responsible for 9/11, and of course he had weapons of mass destruction. Neither was true. Neither. They didn't have weapons of mass destruction. He wasn't responsible for 9/11, and we preemptively attacked them. Says he said that Congress can make it clear that it supports such strikes and that having visible congressional support in place at the outset will reassure Israel. So we're just giving them the green light. That's literally what they're doing. It says, in spite of support from the neocons, top U.S. military leaders have warned of many dangers of our military strikes against Iran. Defense Secretary Gates has argued another war in the Middle East is the last thing we need. In fact, I would believe it would be disastrous on a number of levels. Admiral Mike Mullen, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, has expressed his own serious reservations about an attack on Iran. The U.S., which is already providing billions of dollars worth of arms to Israel every year, describes Tel Aviv's military edge in the region as being in America's interest. And when I say America's interest, just remember, people, that is the military-industrial complex. That is defense contractors, that is bankers, the banking institutions, the lending institutions, the pharmaceutical industries, those three big guys. That's what America's interest is. It has nothing to do with the average American citizen who's, if they are middle class, they're losing most of their standards, most of their wealth, most of their standards of living are dropping as we speak. Unemployment's around 20%. And so, no, this is not in America's best interest. And no matter how much they try to convince you that it is, a war will not set you free, and a war will not take you out of a staged, manipulated, engineered economic restructuring or collapse, as I like to call it. But, this isn't going to fix it, going to war. I recommend you checking out this humongous article. It's more like a mini book by Webster Tarpley. Obama's preparing to bomb Iran. This is from July 21st, 2010. This is just amazing, dude. There's just so much that he breaks down here, and this guy is just a well of information. So I recommend you checking it out. He just details all the stuff that's been going on. If you've been tracking this, you can definitely tell what's going on here, and it is leading up towards war with Iran. You have here Iran, Turkey, Brazil to talk declaration on fuel swaps for nuclear fuel swapping. They declared with Brazil and Turkey. And the U.S. and the Anglo-American establishment has pretty much surrounded Iran around completely with Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia. They're pretty much surrounded, so they're grabbing onto anybody that they can to help Iran hails relations with Turkmenistan. And so here you go, the 24th of July, Iran armed forces fully prepared. Iran's defense minister says the country's armed forces are at the highest state of preparedness, ready to defend the nation. That's war talk. But they will continue bombing facilities. They will assassinate Revolutionary Guard. And China and Russia will be working behind the scenes with Iran the whole